Hola, soy Scott, soy de Estados Unidos, en un estado se llama Pennsylvania, al lado de Nueva York y Nueva Jersey. Soy maestro de computación en una escuela secundaria. En mi escuela, la gran mayoría de los estudiantes son hispanohablantes latinos, así que estoy aprendiendo a hablar español para comunicar con ellos, hacer mi trabajo mejor. También me encanta viajar y aprender de personas nuevas y culturas nuevas. Y estoy usando BaseLang como una herramienta muy clave en mi viaje. Llevo un año y algunos meses aprendiendo español, like 14 months or 15 months. Been learning for, I think, 15 months. I started in November of 2023. I started with BaseLang in March of last year. Today is the 1-year anniversary of my experience with BaseLang. I started my 7-day free trial on March 12th last year. And when I started, I was not conversational. I couldn't even hold a conversation. I knew some basic vocab from the few months that I was studying. I was using Duolingo, using like YouTube teachers and different resources on YouTube, which are useful, building out like a strong foundation to get started. But whenever I took my entrance exam, I did okay, and I was able to go straight into level 2 instead of starting at level 1. But in my third lesson, I can remember this very vividly. I tried to do a conversational lesson because the teachers always ask you, what do you want to do today in your lesson? And I said, oh, let's try to have a conversation. I lasted about 3 minutes before I ran out of words and vocab and things that I could say and communicate. And I think one of the great things about BaseLang is all the teachers are very in tune with you. They're to help you, and they'll assess what level you're at in your Spanish, and they'll try to help you improve going from where you're at. So whether you're starting from zero or starting from maybe having done some lessons on YouTube and Duolingo like me and know a little bit of Spanish, or you're super more advanced and you're just working on refining your Spanish, the teachers will work with you no matter where you're at. And I think that's one of the things that makes BaseLang super useful. So I was able to go through the first couple levels. I did a lot of conversation. Like once I got the hang of it, after a couple months, I was able to like actually hold a conversation. I think another thing that's really good is like they'll ask you questions, the teachers. So whenever you're talking with like a random language partner, maybe from the internet or I've used like Hello Talk before, and you can find cool people there. But you kind of have to like share the stage. So like it's about your learning, but also their learning. So if you have to speak in English, or if your native language is English and that's their target language, my native language, English. But you kind of have to like share more, which is not as efficient. Like I kind of like efficiency and being able to, if I'm doing Spanish lessons, I want to be able to focus on Spanish mostly. And I think that's another good thing about BaseLang is I could just I have 30 minutes or I have an hour to focus on my Spanish. Obviously, I'm going to ask my teachers questions and try to learn about their life and get to know them better. The hour or the time that you're in BaseLang is for you. And speaking of teachers, I've had like I've met like dozens of awesome teachers from all over South America. I get to learn about countries that I would not have like explored or investigated myself without being exposed to people from there. The city where I'm from is not super diverse. Like I'm from outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not a whole bunch of Hispanohablantes where I live. It's like very, very few. So I wasn't really exposed to a lot of Spanish-speaking culture growing up, but working with my BaseLang teachers, I get to learn about things that are normal where they're from, or things that are maybe taboo. I get to learn about their lives, and hey, that's great. I can learn the language, and I also get to meet awesome people. So it's been a great experience. I'd recommend it for anybody who's trying to learn Spanish. If you're thinking about it, I'll definitely at least give the child a shot and give a few different teachers opportunities to teach you, because they all have different skill sets. You'll definitely vibe with someone. You'll vibe with a few of them. I've like a bunch of great teachers. Can't say enough good things about them. Very organized, the lessons. So it kind of takes you from the very beginning, like basic vocab, basic grammar structures, all the way down to the more advanced grammar structures. It organizes it similar to a lot of grammar books that I've seen. So like you can start with gendered nouns and then work on eventually get down to like conditionals and stuff at the end. And the BaseLang curriculum is kind of structured in a similar way. So you can work with other resources like grammar books, or another resource that I've used was SpanishDictionary.com, which kind of like structured in the similar from beginner all the way down to the more advanced topics. And you can work with those at the same time, so you can get practice inside of the BaseLang lessons and also work on your grammar and do exercises outside of BaseLang. So speaking of like other resources, I said SpanishDictionary.com, which I think was super useful for me. I didn't start using it till more recently, so probably the last few months. But I started out those first couple months, I was using Duolingo. I'm using YouTube, Brenda from Hola Spanish. So Hola Spanish was a channel that I watched a lot after a few months. When I first started, I was using Butterfly Spanish because she does her lessons in English, and she'll just like tell you Spanish phrases and Spanish grammatical concepts, but she's like doing it in English. So I did that for the first few months, and then after a while, it's like all Spanish. Brenda was awesome from Hola Spanish. Dreaming Spanish also. I'm watching their videos for comprehensible input. Just like trying to get as much input as you can, and they have different levels from like beginning to advanced. I use all those to supplement my BaseLang lessons because that's where I was like getting the hardcore work in. It's like where I was getting to do a lot of speaking and doing like grammar drills, and that's like where I got most of my learning. But I was also using other resources because it's a lifestyle whenever you're learning Spanish. Like you have to integrate it into your life to where it doesn't feel like work, but it's more just something that you do. So now it's just something that I do. It's like I'm listening to, now it's a little bit more advanced. So I'm like listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos in my target language, Spanish. I like economics and business and like psychology and history and art. So like I'm like finding YouTube content that I'll usually be watching in English, but I watch that stuff in Spanish now. But I can get my practice and work on my speaking in BaseLang, which is awesome. So I think that's about it for my experience with BaseLang. It's awesome. I definitely recommend it. Give it a try. Yeah, I really think you should give it a try. So thanks for listening if you made it all the way to this point of the video, and good luck with your Spanish learning journey. You can do it. It just takes esfuerzo, effort. So thanks again.